Nintendo gave us a Mario Kart World Direct, but it may not have been as much as some of us who have been following media coverage have been expecting. It might work as an extended overview to anyone who has not been closely monitoring Switch 2 coverage across the internet from places like the in-person experience events or the media coverage from, about the same day as the Switch 2 Direct. But all that said, there were little pieces of new information in there, and so I just want to debrief here on some of my highlights and hopes for the game before its release on June 5th. First highlight for me, when they were going over the modes, they of course did the overview on Grand Prix and Knockout Tour. Once again, felt like a little bit of a waste of time for me personally, but then they dug a little deeper into Versus Race. This is of course a returning mode that you'd expect to see from the past Mario Kart, but we got confirmation that if you just want to do 3 laps around a course normally, that is in fact an option. But the bigger deal to me is that now you can play with up to 4 teams of 6 players in team mode. And I don't know how many people used team mode functionality in versus races in the past games, but of course in those games it was limited to 2 teams of 6 players, since the player cap was 12. Now me, I did actually use team stuff a fair amount, because there would be times where I'd play with family, and we would split ourselves up into a couple of teams, and then be aided by the computer players, and so it would feel a little more even, because, I'm the one who plays video games all the time, and they needed a little bit of a competitive edge to keep up, even in something as frantic and chaotic as battle mode, where theoretically anyone could win. So yeah, seeing that expanded, I think, is a great option, and I expect to use the 4-team functionality at some point. And now for the first thing that I'm a little unclear on, even after this Direct. This Direct introduced the charge jump, which, to be fair, is something that some media outlets may have covered from their time at events, but this does seem like a more genuine new piece of information for most people on the internet. So the charge jump is like drifting, but without the rotation of your vehicle, so that you can build up towards a jump, and this is how you can activate the new wall run mechanic and get up onto rails and stuff. The part that's still confusing to me, though, is that when they went into items, they confirmed that they're bringing over the feather, which was most recently seen exclusively in battle mode in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's a great item in battle mode, for balloon battle especially, because you can jump over obstacles or jump over another cart and steal one of their balloons for your own. But now it'll be worked into the actual races, and with things being more 3D with walls and rails and elevations to consider, then I can see why it would be a natural fit to include in the race. The part that confused me is that you have both the charge jump and the feather. And I'm sure that the feather is different from the charge jump in some meaningful way, but I'm not sure it was clearly conveyed in this Direct. Now, my immediate thought is, okay, you don't have to charge the feather, you just instantly get the extra jump height out of it, and so it's a quicker thing, more reactive, so still good to have on hand. Whereas I'm not entirely clear, do you get more height off of this than a charge jump, or is there's some other benefit to it? Not helping is the fact that when they showed Mario jumping with the feather in the footage, he was already jumping off of a ramp with a boost pad. So I'm not sure how the feather helped get him onto the rail, whereas without it he wouldn't have. It's really something that you're going to need to go hands-on with the game to get a good feel for. Back to my highlights from the Direct. This is something that was not even pointed out by the narrator. It's just something that you pick up on in the background, and that's all the wonderful new musical arrangements that Mario Kart World is bringing with it. Mario Kart is no stranger to good soundtracks, and I've talked about this in past videos dealing with soundtracks. And that said, I am amazed at how many fun new songs that we're getting in this game. The main theme is absolutely a keeper. But we also heard things like Bob on Battlefield rearranged, or other songs from past non-Mario Kart titles, even Yoshi's Story. So this lends credence to the idea that I'm pretty sure some media outlets have even said this, that in talks with people there will be some sort of in-game radio system, and you can choose what songs to listen to. Maybe this is one of the key unlockables in the game. I think that would be a really fun thing to go around and gather. And I wonder if this radio would be usable in races or if it's only for free roam mode. My instinct, based on Nintendo logic, is that it would be the latter, and that you can't just pick whatever song you want for any race you want, but it would be cool to have the option go all the way through, you know? If you get sick and tired of listening to whatever the new Crown City theme is going to be, and you just want to change it up with some Mario Land 2 remix, I feel like you should at least get the option. Now, I mentioned that music could potentially be an unlockable, and a really good one at that. But that is the next point on my list of hopes and confusions. We don't really know much about the unlockables. There is speculation out there that what people are unlocking are decals for the car, since we no longer have the customization at the level of the body, the tires, and the glider. It would make sense to replace that with something akin to vehicle decals so that you can take whatever existing vehicle designs there are, but still add your own little flair of customization to it. It's also possible that you're going to unlock filters for the photo mode, or maybe even sound effects, like Mario Kart 8 introduced the horn as an item, and so the horn was a lot more pronounced in Mario Kart 8, even if it was in past games. So imagine being able to change your horn sound effect. That would be another cool little thing. But yeah, all we got was vague hints as to stuff that you could unlock, and means by which you could unlock them. We've seen the Peach medallions. And by the way, side note, I think it's really stupid that they're all Peach medallions. I saw that and I thought there'd be medallions for all the characters, but people have dug more into the footage and scrubbing through. One of my friends tells me, no, they're all Peach medallions. It's like in the menu somewhere. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why do they all have to be Peach? But we also see the question mark panel, and so it's not clear what's unlocking and what means unlocks each individual thing that we could potentially be unlocking. I mean, it's all speculation if we unlock music or horn sounds or photo filters, but this is just what comes to mind for me. No solid confirmation of that from Nintendo, and I look forward to finding out what exactly we're going to get and how exactly we get them. Last thing on my list of highlights is my number one highlight, and that is a substantial single-player offering for the free roam mode. It turns out that the P-switches that we've seen in past footage will activate missions in the overworld. And so this is essentially a more organic form of mission mode from Mario Kart DS, which is one of the titles I unfortunately skipped over, so I never got to experience the awesomeness of mission mode for myself. But now, I'll get a little bit of a taste of that. And like, the missions in and of themselves are fun little rewards, little challenges that you get to complete when you're taking a break from the standard racing mode. And the fact that there are hundreds of them in the same vein as Moons in Odyssey or Korok Seeds in Breath of the Wild just makes all the sense in the world to me, and it feels like something that will keep me playing for quite a bit. And now for my last point of confusion, the costume system. And I'm not saying it's unclear how you get costumes. I think they were pretty direct about that in the direct. I mean, imagine being that way. But you go through the drive-thru, you get the food, and that food is associated with a costume, and then your character wears the costume. Otherwise, it is used the same as your standard mushroom, because it's called dash food. I feel like it should have been called Dine and Dash as a better pun, but that's neither here nor there. The confusing thing to me about it is, are we going to be going around the world getting this with every individual character? And also, what about characters who may or may not have costume alternatives, like the cow or the other regular enemy variants? I mean, I'd like to see Goomba in costumes, and I don't think it's impossible to ask, but we don't really know. Media people have said that their build of the game at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience didn't have that as an option. They would just use the item and keep on dashing. But that doesn't mean that the build we get on release won't have that, or that it won't be patched in later down the line in a free update. I don't know. Another thing that you really just gotta wait and see on, but it's, you know, the reason I just want to talk about this is because it's stuck in my brain. It's like, these are the questions we want answers to, and they are the ones that we don't have answers to. But on the subject of costume, the thing that I really want an answer to is, what were they thinking with the character select menu? A friend tells me that it might be based off the framework of Mario Kart Tour. and how that character select screen works. But that there, it doesn't matter as much because there's optimal character picks on a per course basis, because some people can hold 3 items on certain courses and other people cannot. And that is tied to the costume in some way. And so when they sort the thing by the optimal character, they don't have to go far to find one that's more competitively viable. And my brain is all aghast at a number of decisions that were made for both Tour and World, which you can now collectively call World Tour. I really hope that if the menu is that way when the game releases, that there is a patch down the line that allows us to toggle it in a more manageable way. Please, 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 Nintendo, do a patch for sub-menus. I'm begging you. And now I'm going to end up with a couple of points that didn't really fit into the category of confusions or highlights from the Direct, but just a couple other things that I want to point out I don't see as many people talking about. If you watch my reaction to the Direct, right before it starts, I did mention that there was a good chance, with this being a Mario game, with it being a launch title for a new system, that we would get some sort of new feature of the Switch 2 shown off. In the past, at the Mario Maker 2 Direct, they announced game vouchers for NSO members as a new feature on the Switch. And so we kind of got something like that here. This Direct was our first look at calibrating the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. And they showed it off specifically in the instance of you've got 4 people playing locally, and you're tracking all 4 faces. So this menu came up, or you get to move the circle over the person's face for where you want the camera to track. So that was our first bit look at that UI. I thought it was pretty interesting. And finally, this is something that you'll only hear from me, I am sure. But there was the brief moment in the Direct where they needed to show off the Joy-Con 2 wheel accessory. And they used the phrase, "feel like you're really driving." And to that I say, the Joy-Con 2 wheel is going to be such a downgrade to players like myself, because in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they added support for the Nintendo Labo vehicle kit. You not only had a full-fledged steering wheel, one that was much bigger, more realistic feeling, despite being made of cardboard, but you had a gas pedal. You're going to tell me that the Joy-Con 2 wheel, going back to those basic Wii motion controls, is going to give me the same level of immersion and tactile feel as the Labo vehicle kit? No. You are lying to yourselves, Nintendo. It's a major downgrade. And of course, Labo is one of the few things that will not work properly with a Switch 2 based on the new console size and the new controllers and the new HD Rumble 2 possibly feeling different. I'm really going to want to play around with my Labo kit if I pick up a Switch 2. Rather, if I manage to pick up a Switch 2, because I am planning on it. So if you want to see me futz around with what is and is not possible with Labo on Switch 2, then this is a place you should stick around. And if you have any more thoughts on Mario Kart World, you can let me know down in the comments, and consider subscribing if you want to hear more about it and other Nintendo stuff in the future. I also do music, so hey, lots of fun stuff if you stick here. Maybe hit like on the video too if you like ravings like this. Otherwise, have a good one. Maybe I'll see you next time. Goodbye.